You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. National Signing Day, Wednesday. LSU, Dominant McKinley, the number one player in the state of Louisiana, inks with the Tigers. Terry Bussey, the uncommitted, or the committed but unsigned five-star who had been committed to A&M, decided to honor his commitment to Texas A&M. He'll be an Aggie. So a little bit of a disappointment there for LSU. It would have been a long shot, but Tigers had their hat on the table, and they were there right to the very end. And they're pushing forward there with a lot of these blue-chip prospects, which is great to see. And one of the reasons that this class is a cornerstone class is LSU did something that Brian Kelly wasn't able to do a year ago, which was keep the best players from the state of Louisiana home. And, you know, we talked about it last year, but with guys like Arch Manning, Tackett Curtis, I mean, there were guys that never intended to stay home. And that's how we kind of explained it. But what you've seen now over the last 2 years, and as you're looking forward to 25 and beyond, is Brian Kelly is starting to lock down Louisiana. And he was asked about that today, about what goes into doing that, into locking down the state of Louisiana, keeping the best players in this state home. Here's what he said.
What has to happen is you got to go out, and each coach has to have a geographical area in the state of Louisiana and then a pathway to get to the border states. So everybody has to be involved in the state of Louisiana, and you can't take any geographical area for granted. You know, you've got to be all over the state. So I think it's just a commitment to, you know, getting out there and working hard. I think our staff did a really good job of getting out there and working hard and doing the due diligence necessary to, you know, represent a really strong brand.
The other thing that is so abundantly clear, and we talked about it when the new staff hires were made, which is that every single staff member has a tie to Louisiana. Every one of LSU's 10 on-field assistants either played at LSU, has coached at LSU, is from Louisiana, has coached in Louisiana, or some combination thereof. And Brian Kelly talked about that, the importance of ties to this state on this staff.
I can't tell you it's the most important thing because we got to stop people. We got to keep the points down. We've got to be able to coach and teach and, you know, motivate. But certainly that has to be part of the process as well. Because that's a stated goal of how we recruit. So where does it fall on the list of importance? It's intentional, but is it the first thing on the list? Probably not, but it's definitely something that I would say when we all see those job descriptions, is it mandatory? No, but strongly, I think, worded that you should have experience recruiting in the state of Louisiana.
And it took him 2 years to figure it out. It took him 2 years to figure it out fully, but he's there. Remember, when Brian Kelly was hired, he brought Frank Wilson here. He retained Brad Davis. He brought in Cortez Hankton from New Orleans. It wasn't like he ignored Louisiana. It wasn't like he ignored connections to this state and this place. They were there. Brought Joe Sloan from North Louisiana, who had spent 9 years at Tech. And when he was at Tech, his primary recruiting area was the southern part of the state. So it wasn't like Brian Kelly said, we can handle it. He brought in guys, but it was about half guys that knew the state and half guys that knew him. And after 2 years, 100% of his staff are guys with ties to this state. Yes, he's right. It's not the most important thing. You have to block and throw and run and catch and tackle. And so you got to coach up the talent you have. But if your ambition is to win a national championship, you have to have the talent requisite to winning a national championship. How do you get it? You recruit Louisiana and the immediate surrounding area. And that's what this staff can do. As a matter of fact, all but 3 players in this class, all but 3 players. LSU has 29 signees and then the 6 transfers. All but 3 are from Louisiana or the border states.
Those are the states that we have targeted relative to our recruiting philosophy. And so, we really focused going into this year of recruiting last year, obviously, that we wanted to be in these particular states to do our base recruiting. Now, as you know, we'll go anywhere for a quarterback. And quite frankly, we'll go anywhere for a difference maker. But our base recruiting is going to be in the border states, Georgia, Florida, and that's kind of where we're most comfortable and have the best, I think, success rate relative to LSU and where historically recruiting has been best served.
It's not hard to figure out, but it's something that sometimes you have to learn. And I know I've talked about this so many times, ever since Brian Kelly was hired. Just look at, I'm going to do this off the cuff. I don't know the answer, but I'm going to do this off the cuff. I'm going to look up Notre Dame's signing class for 2024. And I've not looked at this. I'm literally doing this live right now. The state-by-state breakdown. Notre Dame signed, and this isn't about Notre Dame. It's about Brian Kelly having to change his mindset on recruiting. Notre Dame finished with the number 9 class in the composite, okay? Here's the states represented in Notre Dame's class: North Carolina, Ohio, California, Georgia, Indiana, Texas, Arizona, Florida, Illinois, Massachusetts, Michigan, Missouri, Nebraska, Pennsylvania, Virginia. 15 states. Marcus Freeman just signed a top 10 class at Notre Dame. 15 states. 15 states. Brian Kelly has the number 7 class in the composite, and only 3 players in this class were outside of Louisiana or its border states. 2 of them are from Georgia, and one's Jair Brown from Ohio, who's a Louisiana kid who moved to Ohio and went to Ohio State. It ain't hard to figure out. You just have to be all in on that approach. And he is now. And it's why you signed what On3 has as the number 4 class in the country. And they ain't done, by the way, because I'm telling you they're going to add defensive tackles. I mean, Brian Kelly told you today, but I've been telling you. It ain't a question. They ain't done. And then look at what they're doing for 25. Look at the prospects in the state for 26. You got to load up and go all in. One more. Speaking of that staff, especially the new defensive staff, Brian Kelly was asked how they were met on the recruiting trail.
The momentum is picking up, obviously, because there's great name recognition. There's coaches that are certainly recognizable, and they've been well received because these are coaches that have had success and have been successful in recruiting and have had strong relationships. So, the proof will be down the road, but we're certainly seeing early indications of, higher results as it relates to our defensive staff and the new hires.
Mm-hmm. You don't need me to tell you that. I'm just reinforcing the obvious. Successful day, successful class for LSU, but not done yet. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.